Welcome to the Inspiring Victory Show, where we help you double your business, double your impact, and change the world. And one of my favorite change the world people is on the show with me today. I've got Heather Lantry. She's amazing. She's smart. She's able to move mountains with everything she does, be it in her business, in the healthcare world, or as a CEO, or employing lots of other wonderful people, and even in her charitable work, which we'll talk about a little bit later. So I'm very, very happy to have you on the show. Heather, yay! Thank you for being on. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you
Appreciate
for
you taking
having
the
me,
time.
Sarah. Absolutely. Always look forward to having a conversation with you. Thank you for having me today.
I'm glad to see you. I was going to ask you a couple of questions that came to mind just a little bit ago. I was wondering, how did you get started with this company that you have now? And can you tell us a little bit about what you guys do for those that may not be aware of that this service even exists?
Sure. So I have been a very proud franchisee with the Right at Home in-home care and assistance program since March of 2013. So it's been about 11 years now. And
Mhm.
prior to that, I worked in hospice for well over 10 years. Have kind of always worked primarily with older adults, seniors and older adults. And I attribute that love of working with older people to the fact that I was very blessed to grow up with an extremely full family tree. So
Mm.
I had 5 of my 8 great-grandparents living when I was, a small person, the last of which, my great-grandma Nan, passed away when I was 20, so really got to know many of them very
Mm.
well. I knew all 4 of my grandparents, lots of great and great-great aunties and uncles, and so just had this really full tree growing up, which so
Mm.
many people don't get to experience that and experience sometimes wisdom, but definitely lots of lived experience that our,
Mm.
our older adults
Mm.
have to offer and share with us and help shape us as people, as family members. And so I've always been very drawn towards older adults because I was so lucky to be surrounded by so many of them when I was little and be loved on them and challenged by them and have meaningful relationships with my own older adults in my
Mhm.
own family tree. So I've kind of always done that
Mhm.
type of work. I was in hospice, like I said, for over 10 years. And it did get to the point where I was interested in a new challenge. I was having my 4 children during the years that I worked in hospice. And when the youngest of them was a couple of years old, I felt like I was ready for something new and different and really wanted to move back into more of a leadership role. And had a small private practice as a music therapist. So
Mhm.
knew a fair bit about contracts and billing and how to run my own very small at that time healthcare mental health entity, but was just ready for a bigger challenge. So started looking around at the different options. Initially got into this business with my parents, and they were really interested in, how can we merge skills, right? My father had been in business for many years and I had been in healthcare. And so he kept suggesting things, many of which I just rejected absolutely out of hand. Absolutely not. No, we're not going to
Mm.
start a hospice business. I don't have the credentials for that. I have no interest in doing that. But he
Mm.
suggested a home care business, which is what Right at Home does, provides that one-on-one support or maybe a couple with one professional caregiver. And that was something I got to see a lot of in hospice and got to see a lot of in my own life with so many wonderful elders and such a full family tree as a
That's
small
interesting.
person.
Yeah,
That
that
means
is
I
interesting.
also got to see my family members take care of those older people. So
Mm.
this was something that when my father pitched the idea, I was like, absolutely. I know exactly how I would want that to look. I know exactly how I
Mm.
would want to train and support our caregivers in the field. Let's go for it. So that's kind of where it started. And then Right at Home just ended up being such a perfect fit in terms of
Mhm.
values. The
I could
mission
tell.
of Right at Home is to improve the quality of life for those we serve. And boy, quality of
Oh,
life.
that is you. Yes, that
Yes,
really is you. Uh-huh.
it's all
Oh,
about the
lovely.
quality. Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm. What an amazing journey. Yeah, interesting. And I love that you have this great big family that you have been involved with, and you saw care from every possible angle, and that clearly has, having talked to you many times before, create that level of care that a family member would create if they had the time or if they were physically able. And so just to supplement so that they do get those all important breaks and don't get too burnt out or too sick or anything on their as well. So
100%.
it's like it's a really powerful thing, and it needed more and more as so many people are aging into that next stage of life where they need more care. Interesting, interesting. And how did you grow you have a very interesting team, and they're all wonderful, and I know you love them. We call our team is the dream team, and your team is a dream team as well.
It
How
is.
did you grow your team and grow yourself as a leader of that team?
Oh, yeah. So my team, one of the things that I was really fortunate with in my hospice years is that I had some incredible role models in my hospice years and just amazing leaders. And I always joke that I would still follow these women into war. Nash and Elaine Markowski, just amazing leaders at Rush Hospice Partners who really
Wow.
showed me
Mm,
how to not only lead by example, but also nurture your team, take incredible care of your team, recognize the potential in the team that you have, sometimes
mhm,
before they even have caught on to it for themselves, and
mhm,
create
mhm,
opportunities for those team members. So those women at Rush Hospice Partners really did an amazing job with sort
mhm.
of a consumer driven approach to management, right? Where
Oh,
we
okay.
were consumers of their jobs. And a happy consumer will still try another product if it's on sale, right? A happy employee, if a headhunter or recruiter comes around, will still entertain the conversation, right? But a thrilled consumer is a loyal consumer, and a thrilled employee is a loyal employee who knows that their needs are going to be met, that they have the ear of the leadership team, that they're being taken care of, that they are being nurtured. And so I really learned that from Kathy Nash and Elaine Markowski,
Hmm.
and have brought it into my Right at Home franchise. So our director of human resources started off with Right at Home as a CNA in the field, right? Providing that direct
Oh,
care,
okay.
and then
Nice.
was a field supervisor, and then was a staffing coordinator, and now she's our director of human resources. And we have done that multiple times over, but really identifying the superstars and articulating what those traits are, both in terms of personality and in terms of skill set, and
Hmm.
defining we have this wonderful mission statement from the corporate office, but taking that as our jumping off point as a team
Hmm.
and developing a vision statement and then core values out of that is
Hmm.
really, it drives everything. It drives
It does.
everything, including identifying those outstanding rock stars in the field who we are then able to nurture and develop from that point on. So in terms of our local staff, that's
Hmm.
very much
Hmm.
been the approach that we've taken,
Hmm.
value-based,
Hmm.
mission-driven. For my own development, what are the opportunities that I see in the community that resonate with those core values, whether it's a
Hmm.
book to read or a conference to attend or
Hmm.
a leadership group to join for a period of time, really looking for those that resonate with those core values and the vision and
Hmm.
mission of me and my
Hmm. Yeah,
business. So
that you've worked hard to develop. Yeah. How did you come up with the vision? How did you come up with the core values? And you said you use them all the time. We do too, more than I would have thought. I had a great consultant, Linda McCabe. I don't know if you've ever met her, but that woman, drilled into me, you will have core values and here's how you will use them and apply them. And I was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. It's an exercise. Sure. Whatever. And it's corporate, you have a corporation, you're supposed to have them. But I've been shocked by just how valuable they are to have, both with the people that your employees and we have overseas staff. I know you do too, as well as even with our clients. But how did you, I suspect you were smarter and you didn't have to be forced to do this by any consultants outside of you, but how did you come up with those values and that vision statement and how do you apply it?
Yeah, so for the creation of it, the team that was in place at that time, some of whom are still here, some of whom who have, moved on to bigger and better things. But
Mhm.
we had just a beautiful retreat day, and
Mm,
phones were passed on because this is a 24/7 business. So our dedicated on-call staff, unfortunately, were not able to participate in the
sure.
retreat day, but they managed the phones for us, and we had a full day retreat. And because we already had our mission statement from the corporate
Mm,
office, we started by trying to figure out what our values were. And so
right.
we got together for this retreat, and I gave everybody a pad of sticky notes, post-it
Oh,
notes.
clever.
And I said,
Well,
I want you to take a few minutes and close your eyes, and I want you to think about the best boss or team member you have ever worked with, right? Like, I want you to really just think
oh,
through it. Who is the absolute best person that you ever worked with, right? You loved working with them. You felt inspired by them. You were motivated by them. You wanted to work harder for them. You knew like they were your person, right?
mhm.
Gave everybody a few moments to really visualize that person. And then I said, I want you one word per sticky to write down a word that describes that person and just keep writing down words that describes that person until you don't have any
Mm,
more words left.
that's very smart. Yeah,
It's
very
great.
smart.
Yeah, it worked
I
great.
love that.
And then
Yeah,
we just started
that's very
putting them
interesting.
up and like putting them together in categories like these words
Yeah,
all mean sort of the same
mean,
thing, right?
right. Oh,
And
that's
then
nice. Yeah.
narrowing it down, narrowing it down, narrowing it down until it was, six categories. And then we agreed as a group on which of those words really encompassed what we all meant, right? And so we ended up with service, uh,
Hmm.
integrity,
Hmm.
accountability,
Nice.
person-centered care,
Nice.
diligence, and
Nice.
fun.
And fun.
And
Oh, most
fun.
people don't do that. And you are fun. Yes, yes, you are fun. Yes, you really are. And it's a fun company because I think it has to be dealing with some, so often serious issues, but it can be done in a way that produces joy and fun. So
Yeah, well, and the
interesting.
fun was so important to me, and the fun kind of helped launch more discussion into our vision statement as well, where we talk
Okay.
about growth and
Mm-hmm.
autonomy and dignity being core to
Hmm.
the entire human experience, the entire lifespan. And it really ties into
Mm,
what I learned in hospice is that
mm,
quality of life, you can be at the end of life and still have a quality life, right? And still have fun
yeah.
and laughter and joy, even
Wow.
in your very last days, right? You can still
Yeah.
have give and receive love
Mm,
and companionship and all of the things that make life worth living, right?
yeah. That's
You can
beautiful.
still have that right up to the end. And so it was really important
Mm,
to us that we put that as one of our core values because
wow.
improving the quality of life. What does quality of life mean? Well, it probably means you're having some fun, right? So
Right. Sure.
yeah, so
I like that. That's
that was
beautiful.
really, really core to me. And then in terms of living it, I mean, there are the mechanics of living it in the business is every single day, at every single start of our work day, we call out at least one of our core values. So, service.
Ah,
Who on the team, preferably of our care professionals in the field who are
mhm,
actually our hands and eyes and ears,
right.
taking care of our folks. Who of our care professionals has embodied service since we last talked about
Mm,
service? And then, oh, that would be Juliet. And she was just doing such an amazing job with her client
mhm,
and, really her patients and all of those things, right? And just talking about that
mhm,
particular person and how they embody our values.
mhm.
So that's an exercise that we do every single day. But in
Nice.
our job descriptions and in our performance evaluations and all of the how we do things as a business, and especially if there's something that we're like, there's a problem here and we can't figure out what the problem is. Well, how does this tie into our core values? And as soon as we do that, we're able to suss out what the real issue is and how to fix it. I
Mm.
just can't say enough about the importance of not only having true core values as an organization, but having them drive your business. It is a game changer. It makes everything so much easier because you're
Mhm.
always focused on the things that you know are most important.
Yeah, I agree entirely. That's beautiful. Yeah, I think it gives you a North Star for
Yes.
your business. It gives you one of my favorite books is a book called Finding Your Own North Star by Martha Beck. If you've ever been in a dentist's waiting room and you're flipping through O Magazine, you saw her many, many wonderful articles, and her books are all been the ones I've read have been very, very good. But I think that's what having core values for a company does for you is it gives everybody a litmus test, to mix metaphors, but a litmus test about what fits and what doesn't fit, and
Right.
who fits and who doesn't fit. And it gives you a North Star of, again, for that vision statement that you're coming up with, you have a North Star based on those core values that are underneath it. I think it gives you this lovely foundation. Like,
Yeah,
you don't want to build a house without a really good foundation,
that's right.
or
That's
it's
right.
going to fall down. So,
Yeah,
yeah, nice.
100%.
That's
Yeah,
beautiful. That's
thank
really,
you.
really interesting. You said you had those two mentors at over at Rush, a great institution, of course, very beloved in the Chicago area and around the world even. What was the best advice you got from those two powerful women who were your mentors? What advice did they give you that you still remember?
Well, this was not from either of them,
Okay.
but one of the great lessons that I learned as a young woman getting ready to do my music therapy practicums, back a
Ah,
very long time ago was about how to dress. Right? And this is
hmm.
actually something that we talk about with our team all the time, including our care professionals, where you want to dress in such a way as to appear powerful enough to realize change in someone's life, but accessible enough to understand what the problem is.
That's lovely.
Isn't
Oh,
that so
that's
good?
really good. That's really good advice.
So
Somebody asked me, how do you know what to wear? And I said, you have to find a style that is usually half a step more dressed up than they are. I mean, if they're all in hoodies and sweats and, fine, maybe you're in like jeans and like a casual blazer. But I said, style is the outer manifestation of the inner belief that you are worth taking care of, you're worth looking at, and that you have something of value to share with the world.
ooh, I love that too.
It's funny because, I do get, yeah, a lot of up and coming speakers will ask me, well, is it really important? Literally, I had one guy, he came up and he'd seen me speak and he said, is it okay if I just like wear a hoodie on stage? And I said, well, I know Mark Zuckerberg does that. And I know that the former head of Apple before he passed away, he used to do that. But that was because they were so powerful that they were having trouble coming across as accessible. Like you said,
Right,
powerful but accessible. So
right,
they were doing everything in their power to seem like a regular guy that you could connect with. When you have that kind of power, we will concern ourselves with
right.
pressing you down to a point where people feel like you're not too high for them. But unless you are a household name today, and I'm not aware of it, you have to find a way to look, like you said, to look powerful enough so that your phrase was perfect. But yeah, both powerful and accessible,
Right.
and they know they can really count on you. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And I think,
And that's
it's
it's
not
not
a
hard to do. It's not
it's
necessarily hard to do at all.
it's
Yeah.
not. It's not. But, I think going back to Elaine and Kathy, I think
Ah,
that
yeah.
the thing that I probably was the strongest lesson from them and the most influential lesson. I can't remember a direct quote from them. I would be more
Hmm.
inclined to quote Stephen Covey,
Ah, yeah.
it's like that was the sentiment from them, and it's the whole always treat your employees the way that you want them to treat your very best customer, right? Like that
Oh,
is
yes.
that's
Yes.
actually at every workstation in my office.
Nice.
So yeah,
Nice.
always treat your employees exactly as you want them to treat your best customers. So but that was very much the way that
Beautiful.
Kathy and Elaine and the rest of the women on that leadership team, that's
Hmm.
how they ran the hospice organization, where those of us who
Mhm.
were in the field at the bedside of the dying patients, supporting the families who were saying goodbye to their loved ones,
Such a big moment in any
100%.
family's life. It's huge. Yeah.
100%, and the
Wow.
leadership team there just
Mm.
took such
Mm-mm.
great care of us, you know, they just loved
Wow.
us and supported
Mm,
us and didn't overwork
mm,
us, and it was
mm,
such a wonderful collaborative team approach where they took such good care of us that we were able to have the capacity to go into this, you know, these very challenging, very emotionally wrought moments. And it's not your family, so it's not, you know, people always think that when they hear, you know, when I worked in hospice and when they hear now about my time in hospice, and you're like, oh, you know,
mm,
how could you do that? Oh,
mm,
and yes, it is sad. You feel the sadness, the sorrow for the family members, for the hospice patients, or
mm.
sometimes it's not, you know, some people are like, this has been such a long illness. I can't wait to just go be with my beloved again. You know, like
Sure,
everybody has
yeah, so you don't know what you're going to feel, but
what,
there's a certain
yeah,
amount of distance I'm hearing between it's not being your
exactly.
and most
Exactly.
of us have only experienced that with our loved ones, so we can't imagine
100%.
what it's like to experience it with
Uh,
that slight little layer
that's
of
right.
distance,
That's
but
right. And
it
that's
is a but it's a tough job. I mean, no matter what, it is a
it
draining,
can be
difficult,
draining for sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
exhausting, and the fact that they didn't overwork you, I
Yes.
heard that, you know, but you because yeah, you burn people out and then it can be really trying
Absolutely, and
on a
they did
team.
a
Yeah.
beautiful job of not burning people out, and
Smart.
the fact that there was
Yeah.
so much
Wow.
longevity. Hospice isn't always, you know, being a
No.
bedside hospice
Mm,
worker isn't always a place with real great longevity for that
right.
reason, but
Yeah.
they just took such good care of us and supported us and our emotional health and our spiritual health and our psychological health
Mm,
so
yeah.
much that there was a lot of great longevity there. And so bringing that to Right at Home, to how my leadership team here now at Right at Home,
Mhm.
whether they're remote or sitting in the office with me,
Yeah.
and also making sure that we figure out how to extend that support to our folks who are in the field, whom we might only actually set eyes on a handful of times a year
Mhm.
because we're doing all of our continuing education remotely and we do our pop-up visits, right? So our field
Mhm.
supervisors especially are going to see our field staff more often, but how do we make sure whether we're directly in person interacting with them or doing
Mhm.
it via sending messages out and sending out their continuing education, how can we do
Mhm.
it in a way that resonates with our core values and help our people in the field who are right at home, not left at home, right at home.
Right at home, right at home. Yeah. Who doesn't want to feel right at home or be right at home?
That's
I
right.
love that. It's very
But
nice.
making sure that our people in the field really feel that support so that they will
Mhm.
give that in turn to the clients who they're caring for. It's critically important. That's what the work is.
That's amazing. Yeah, you have an extraordinary culture you've created that I really admire. And you know, I always say that my biggest fear in growing my company was what did I have to do in order to become the leader that my team deserves? Because
Right.
I have my dream team. I spent almost 30 years building my ideal team, and I love them all so much. And so that constant striving to develop yourself as
Mhm.
a leader and be what those wonderful leaders you saw
Yeah.
and you had as mentors and the leaders I've had as mentors to be the leader that they really do deserve.
Deserve.
And I think you really have embodied that. You live that. They passed the torch, your mentors to you, and you live those values and you claimed and stated those values for your company. And I think that's why people love to work with you and stay so long in an industry where typically there's a very, very high turnover. So
It
you're
really
obviously doing
is.
a lot of things right. Yeah. What are you most proud of that you have done as a leader?
Oh, I think it's identifying those care professionals who have potential to be leaders themselves, right?
Mhm, mhm,
Recognizing, identifying those leaders. I love that program. That is by far one of the things that I love best about this business is the opportunity to do that. You know, the work with the clients, every time we're able to keep somebody at home, keep them integrated into the community, and keep them as
Mhm.
autonomous as possible, directing their own desires, fates, making sure that they are the full autonomous adult for as long as possible with the least amount of intervention from us or anyone else. That's the
Mm.
business, and that's magic to me. That's
Yeah,
why I'm
that
here.
is.
Like that,
Mhm.
I love this business. I love being able to do that and to avoid the warehousing of the elderly to
Right.
my friend Claire.
Heartbreaking. No, that's a heartbreaking thing if you want that people to avoid, but don't know how to avoid. And
Right, right.
you're giving them options. It's just,
Yeah, and
yeah,
home care,
that is a magical thing. Yeah.
and home care, especially through my office, a lot of home care agencies have, minimum numbers of hours per shift or per week. And I understand the business argument for that, but for
Mm.
me, it's that core value of being person-centered, right? And
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
always trying to triangulate the points of concern, right? So we've got
Mhm, mhm,
the senior or disabled adult over here and what
mhm,
they
mhm.
think they need and desire and want. And then we've
Right.
got the healthcare entity, which maybe is the hospital or the rehab that's doing the discharge, and or maybe
Right.
our assessment and just figuring out what the needs are and what our recommendations would be. And then we've got
Mhm,
the rest of the stakeholders, which are the family, the what their resources are, the payer sources, what they have to work with in terms of people and financial resources. And we want to triangulate those three concerns to come up with our plan of care. And in a perfect world, we're encompassing all three with that initial plan
mhm,
of care.
mm,
Oftentimes, there's too much resistance from one place or another. There's not the resources to be able to do as much as maybe the healthcare professionals are recommending. But we want to at least, even if we're inside the triangle, we want to at least touch each of those points, right? And
mhm,
that's critically important to me. And that's the work when it's being done best. But what
mhm.
I wasn't really expecting, and I'm so proud of, to go back to your question,
There you
with
go.
this
All right.
business
Okay.
is
Yeah.
the fact that it has given me the opportunity to create those same types of opportunities and autonomy and joy for our care professionals too, to be able to have
Mhm,
somebody who
mhm,
has, you know, the experience caring for their own family members and they have no formal education, and to give them the
mhm,
training and support here that then inspires them to go and get their certified nurses aid certificate. Or maybe they already are a CNA, certified nurses assistant, and
mhm,
they want to go to nursing school, but they need something that's flexible and also gives them lived professional experience as they're going to nursing school. And so they get to work
mhm.
here with the flexible schedule that we can adjust with each
Smart.
semester depending on their
Mhm.
coursework. And then identifying those diamonds, right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
you are
They're
so good. You are a chameleon. I can put you anywhere. Your skill set is
nice. They're
amazing.
meant for this. Yeah. You
Meant
could just
for it.
tell. You could tell. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
now we would love to have you be one of our care leads and then become a field supervisor, and then,
Whoa.
and
Yay.
just having this opportunity for them to have a career here, right? So much
Mhm,
of home
mhm,
care for the field employees, so much of home care is the temporary, it's viewed as temporary work, right? It's viewed as
mm,
paraprofessional, it's viewed as a stopgap, and to be
mm,
able to run right at home as a
mm,
career path for people
mm.
has been the thing that I'm most proud of. So,
Yeah, I think that was great. That was great that you came back to that. I would be very proud of that too. I think you deserve to be very proud of that. It's absolutely wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. What has been the hardest thing about getting the business up and going or finding maybe finding those early clients? What was the toughest part of it and how did you obviously overcome it a little bit along the
yeah.
way?
Yeah, I think the toughest thing for me, which continues to be the toughest thing about the business, is that it's really tough in this country to grow old
Mm,
or be disabled. Right.
mhm,
The bell curve is real. And, there is a segment of the population that has the money to pay for what they want. right? And then there's the segment of the population that is poor enough, financially compromised enough that we still
Mhm.
somehow manage to have safety nets for them,
Mhm.
right? But it's the great middle. It's the people who really need somebody every day for a few hours every day to check on them.
Mhm.
And they just don't have the money to pay for it. And they don't have
Wow.
long-term care insurance. And
Mhm.
Medicare does not pay for our services. And they don't qualify for Medicaid. And there's just like no other way to pay for it. That is the biggest challenge is as a hospice person,
Mhm.
I want to take care of everybody. I want
Right.
everybody to be able to
Sure.
age with dignity and
Mhm.
autonomy on
Mhm.
their own terms. And it's hard to do in this country. So
Mhm.
I'm always looking for opportunities to partner with organizations to provide more care at
Mhm.
a lesser cost to the seniors, because the flip side of that, right,
Mhm.
is I also want and need to provide a good wage for the people who are actually providing the care and
Yeah.
robust benefits and all of those things.
And
And
American life is expensive, so
American life is
so
expensive.
you have to make sure they're making a good living wage,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
especially as hard as they all work. It might need to be like Bomba socks, where you're like, okay, we charge you $1 more an hour than other folks do, and here's the reason why. For every 5 hours you hire us, that's an hour or whatever that's going to an underprivileged family, or a family in need that doesn't have the budget to do this. Because I don't know about you, but I can see where I would say, okay, I'm happy to pay an extra dollar, so
Yeah.
it might be something that they might be excited about getting to donate in a fairly easy way, and
Yeah,
so.
well, I mean, we have done a pretty good job and continue to work really hard to, secure third-party payers and contracts where
Oh,
we
nice.
can to negotiate those rates up where we can to do that very thing, right?
Do that,
Because
just do that. Oh, clever.
even
Yeah.
even,
Mm,
someone who's, heading into retirement thinking that they're in very good shape, should
mhm.
they be in the position where they need one-on-one care around the clock, it becomes very expensive very quick.
Yeah, yes,
So the more
it
opportunities
does.
we have to partner with other entities and to push for a higher reimbursement rate to then maybe be able to
Mm.
offer private pay basis, but Medicaid rate to a family,
Oh, I see. That's very
right?
clever.
So
Yeah.
we do
So
some of that
you're
where we
getting creative.
can.
You're already yeah, I knew you well enough to know you totally be creative, and I thought of that. And yeah, and partnering with other entities, that does make a lot of sense. But
Yeah, but
wow, that's very, very interesting.
I just can't stress enough to everyone listening to the
Yeah.
podcast today, the importance of if it's at all possible for you to have a life insurance policy, to get an insurance policy that has a long-term care rider on it.
Yeah.
I don't sell insurance. This is not a
Right.
benefit to me. This is a
Just
service to
yeah,
you.
yeah. Just a personal observation, and
Yeah,
I get that it is super important, and most people don't even know that long-term care exists. I had a great insurance gal that said, 15, 20 years ago, who said, okay, these are all the things you need. I'm like, what is that one? And she
right,
goes, oh, well, that's,
right.
oh, yes, I want that. Yeah. So
Yeah, and
yeah,
I had to
it's important. It's
constantly have
important.
people
Yeah.
mad at me because I don't take Medicare. And I'm like, I would love to take Medicare.
Right.
Medicare does not pay for this.
But
So,
Medicare will,
yeah,
yeah, if Medicare doesn't like me as much as I like it. Yeah. So
right.
yeah,
Yeah,
they won't play with me.
that's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. So
That's
it
right.
is what it is. Absolutely. So you're finding solutions and ways around it. But
As much
um,
as we can, for
yeah, I
sure.
think so. And I can see where you're developing more and more charitable arms.
Always looking to raise funds for research and to help support folks. The disease-based organizations also oftentimes will have some funding for folks afflicted with various diseases that can help pay for some home care, which is especially great on a respite basis when those family
Mm,
caregivers just need a break. Whether
yeah.
that break is, just once a week, I want to go to lunch with
Yeah.
the ladies, right? Or just go to the
Just,
grocery
yeah,
store,
they want
right?
to be able to take a shower, go to the grocery store,
Yeah,
and go for a
yeah,
walk, and Yeah, I mean, those things become incredibly, incredibly important. And all of us who have experienced times where you had a loved one that needed 24-hour care, those micro breaks, even of just a few hours, one day a week or one day a month, they make a much bigger impact than I think other people realize. It doesn't have to be all the time. People think, well,
That's
if
right.
I don't have somebody 24 hours a day, every day of the week, and even just for volunteering for friends that are going through things like that and saying, hey, can I come in and help out for 4 hours a month or a couple hours a week? Or can I go get some groceries for you? Or can I just sit with so and so and allow you to take a shower? I mean, it's a powerful thing, but being able to get professional care, yeah, I think that is kind of the holy grail for most
Well,
families.
and that's exactly why we don't have any minimums. And we do a lot of that where we will do
Oh,
once a month, 4 hours for a family, so that once a month you
life
can just have
changing.
an afternoon off.
It's still,
Um,
yeah, it's such a huge impact.
and you
Yeah.
still have to pay for it, but it's not,
Yeah.
that's self-care, right? Like you
Right.
need
It's
that
enough where you
person's
could at least
self-care.
get a break, maybe
Right.
not constantly, but get enough to maybe refill your physical, emotional, spiritual tank enough to go back in there for another month and
Right.
fight the good war that you're fighting. So
That's
yeah,
right.
dance with that disease or that elder care issue or whatever it is that you and your family are dancing with. So I think that makes a huge difference. So I love what you do, and I love the team that you have. I love the culture that you created. And I find it very interesting to see the things that you are overcoming and things that are still tough. Any last advice for up and coming CEOs of terrific organizations such as yours, people who would like to be in your place someday? What would be one piece of advice that you would have for folks that want to be you someday?
Well,
It would be a good choice for them to be you by one day.
thanks, Sarah.
I would advise that. Yes.
I think that if you're going to be your own boss, if you're going to be the
Mm.
CEO, you need to know what you're passionate about, right? Because
Mm.
it is really, really tough. It is not
Hmm. Yes.
glamorous and it is
It looks
anxiety
it, but
provoking
it looks
and
a lot
it
more glamorous than it actually is.
yeah, the
Yeah.
highs are high, but the lows are terrifying, right? You have all of these people depending on you and all of this financial risk that's
Yeah.
associated with it. So
Hmm.
having it, and it doesn't necessarily need to be, the industry even. It's
Hmm.
what is this industry your vehicle to accomplish, right? And so for me,
Mm.
Mrs. Georgia Reed in sixth grade gave me the award for being the best problem solver. And
Oh,
she
that
had
is
my
definitely
number.
you.
She
That's
had my number.
definitely you. Yep.
So
Yep.
I am a professional problem solver
I
and
think every CEO
recognizing,
is a professional problem
yes,
solver.
yes.
We all need her to tell us that we can do it.
That's right. But I'm
Oh,
passionate about doing that. Like, let
yes.
me understand what the issue is, and then let's figure out a solution that not just fixes the problem, but really like feels good for you and you're excited about and can help propel you forward.
Hmm.
So, and Right at Home
Hmm.
allows me to do that for populations that I'm also very passionate about, which is our
Yeah.
seniors and our disabled adults. So, yeah, if you want to be a leader, you want to be a CEO, know what your passion is and chase that, drive that, develop that, and that's how you'll be successful.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you do that every day. And I adore that about you. Well, thank you so much for being on the show, Heather
Thank you for
Lantry.
having me.
If anybody would like some help from your company or wants to reach out to you and tell you you were awesome, what is the best way for them to connect with you at your company?
Yeah, you can check us out on the interwebs at www.rightathome.net/ either Skokie, Skokie, or our downtown Chicago location. Same intro, www.rightathome.net/Chicago-Metro, or you can just give me a call at 773-775-4677.
Yes, the old-fashioned way still works.
It still
And
works.
I assume we can also find you on LinkedIn and on Instagram and Facebook and all that
Absolutely.
kind of stuff as
Instagram,
well. Yeah.
Facebook, LinkedIn. Yeah,
We can
I'm here.
get a hold of you
Yes.
directly. Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you very much for being on and for sharing all those great insider secrets of CEO success, and the highs are high, the lows are low, but that passion does fuel you, and I can see that it does. And I love what you're doing. Keep doing it. You have all of our support and respect and admiration. Again, thank you for being a part of our show, and thank you to all of you watching. We are happy to have you as a part of the Inspiring Victory Tribe. Again, thank you for being here at the Inspiring Victory Show, where we help people who want to inspire others and double their business, hopefully in 1 year or less. So thank you very much for being here. Thank you to Heather, and we'll look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Thanks again.
Thanks.
Please like, subscribe, share, write a comment. It makes a huge difference with how many people we can reach here at the Inspiring Victory Show, and it makes a big difference to me personally. I want to make sure that we're providing content to as many people as we possibly can so they can grow and succeed. So double your business, double your impact, and change the world. And thank you so much for being a part of this extraordinary community.
Let's take a moment to thank our sponsor, Meritess Bott of Bott & Associates.
I'm so honored to get to be with our wonderful sponsor for the Inspiring Victory Show. And I want to make sure you know a little bit more about her and about what they do, because I think it'd be really helpful for all of us as business people and just in our personal lives. Meritess does a lot of speaking, as many of you probably know, but I love one of the speeches that she's famous for, which is A Generous Legacy, the Power of Future-Proofing Your Business and your personal life. And that's really what you are all about. So I want to talk a little bit about that with you. And can you give us an example of somebody who's come to you and how you were able to help them that might be able to help all of us as we navigate our financial planning as well as our estate planning for business and for personal?
Yeah, I'd love to. Well, thank you for having me, Sarah. I appreciate it. We do a lot of estate planning, obviously, as well as the financial planning for our clients. And a story that I think is a great way to showcase what we do is this wonderful couple that we met back in, I want to say 2015. They came in for a consultation. So they are certainly a wonderful couple, blended family. So second marriage for both of them. He has children and she does not. Basically, they were saying to me, Meritess, I really want my estate plan to be secure. I want it to be ironclad so it goes to the right people. Particularly the wife was concerned that this money goes to her charities, which she was very, very active in and volunteers quite a bit. She puts her hard-earned money with them. And she also wants to make sure her husband is taken care of as well. So she wanted to do both objectives at the same time. We were like, of course we can help you with that. We want to make sure that we write everything down and just like you said, make it ironclad so that there's no contest. There's nobody trying to get to the money inappropriately. Right. So we created a wonderful estate plan for them. So that was 2015. Now, sadly, she unexpectedly passed a few years later. And her surviving spouse came to us and he really needed help. He was so, of course, distraught and super, super sad. But he was also very concerned about the financial pieces. He wasn't that familiar with financial instruments. There was 13, 14, 15 accounts that she had. And of course, he was like, I'm confused. What do I do with all of this? So we said, okay, we're going to take care of you. We got this. And we were able to really take a hold of all those instruments and all those accounts. And on our financial side of our business, we were able to consolidate them, invest it in very prudent investments and make sure it's easy for him to manage. So we were able to do that within 3 to 6 months. His late wife's wishes of him being able to live on that money and then eventually at his death give it to her charities is exactly what's going to happen. So wonderful to be able to plan it properly, give her peace of mind. A few years later, we're honoring 100% of her wishes. This money is not going to go to anybody inappropriately. And her beneficiaries, her charities, are going to be so happy to be able to get this money upon his death because he is still able to live on that income. So I love those stories because to me, we work so hard we sacrifice daily, right? We work so hard, and we want to be able to take our money and be able to give it to people that we love and charities that we believe in.
Well,
And-
thank you very much for sharing that with us. I always enjoy spending time with you. And yeah, you're one of the people I always find so much value in talking to. You're just walking integrity, and you're a good soul, and
Oh,
you
thank
help
you so
people. You
much,
help
Sarah.
people. So
I
thank you for
appreciate
being on the show again, and for sharing with us, and for always doing such a great job for everybody. And now that you're able to do even more and be more of a one-stop shop to help people with all these different issues, I think your company and you are even more valuable. Thank you so much. Always
Thank
lovely to see you.
you.
Marites Bott and
Appreciate it.
Associates. If it's something that you need, be sure and contact Marites right away.